My dear friends, there is a reason your heart longs for answers and your soul wrestles with waiting. We live in a world that demands everything now, yet the deepest truths of life are never rushed. There are moments when you feel forgotten, when every door you knock on seems to stay shut, when prayers echo back in silence. But I want you to know tonight that there is a timing more perfect than anything you could orchestrate on your own. There is a hand that moves when yours cannot. There is a plan unfolding beyond what you see, and it is good. Rest your weary mind, still your anxious heart, and learn to watch as the one who holds all seasons brings it to pass in the fullness of time. Your waiting is not wasted. Your tears are not unnoticed. Relax, stand firm in faith, and you will see what happens when heaven's clock strikes the appointed hour. My friends, if only we could see with heavenly eyes the delicate threads being woven together behind the tapestry of our lives, we would worry less and trust more. We would not lose sleep over unanswered prayers or panic when doors close that we thought should open. We would not waste our strength pacing the floors of our minds with questions that have no earthly answers. You see, there is a divine clock that never misses a second, never runs late, and never gets ahead of itself. It ticks according to a wisdom far greater than ours, and it keeps perfect time in a world that feels chaotic and rushed. Think of how the farmer waits for the early and late rains. He cannot force the crops to grow faster by tugging at their roots. He must trust the seasons, the sun, the rain, and the unseen work taking place beneath the soil. So it is with your life. Beneath the surface, in the places you cannot see, the hand of the Almighty is moving pieces into place. He is softening hearts, opening opportunities, closing harmful paths, and aligning circumstances you could never arrange on your own. But he does this on his timetable, not yours, and that is where faith must hold you steady. Sometimes you feel like your life is stuck on pause. You look around and see others racing ahead while you sit in the waiting room of life, frustrated and wondering if you were forgotten, but you are not forgotten. The waiting room is not a prison cell. It is a holy place where your character is forged, your faith is tested, and your roots grow deep enough to hold you when the promise comes. If you step into your calling too soon, you will crumble under its weight. If you take hold of blessings before your heart is ready, they may become a curse instead of a gift. There is mercy in the waiting if you have eyes to see it. Rest does not mean inactivity. It means you do what you can with what you have today, and you leave the rest to the one who knows tomorrow. It means you plant seeds of kindness, diligence, and prayer, and you trust that at the right time the harvest will come. It means you do not allow anxiety to choke the life out of you while you wait. You learn to sleep at night with a peaceful heart because you know that what is meant for you cannot be taken by another. Imagine the story of Joseph. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, thrown into prison, and yet every step, every injustice, every delay was part of the divine clock. Joseph could have become bitter. He could have lost hope. He could have tried to escape God's plan and make his own way. But instead, he served faithfully in the pit, in Potiphar's house, and in prison. He trusted the divine clock, and at the appointed time he was lifted from the prison to the palace in a single day. What man meant for evil, the Almighty turned for good. Look at your own life through the same lens. That closed door may be saving you from disaster. That delay may be preparing you for a greater blessing. That heartbreak may be steering you toward the place where you truly belong. Do not let impatience rob you of the miracle waiting on the other side of your surrender. Do not trade peace for panic just because you cannot see what He is doing behind the scenes. And while you rest, give thanks. There is power in gratitude that transforms waiting into worship. Thank Him for what you have, even if it is not yet what you want. Thank Him for every lesson hidden in the silence. Thank Him for the strength being built in the waiting. Thank Him that you do not have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. Thank Him that His ways are higher, His thoughts are wiser, and His timing is perfect. Some trust in their own strength. Some trust in the promises of people who can fail them. But you, my friend, place your trust in the one who never breaks His word. He is not slow in keeping His promises, as some understand slowness. He is patient, precise, and intentional. What He said will come to pass will not fall to the ground. It will not return void. And when you see it happen, you will know it was worth every tear, every sleepless night, every moment you felt like giving up but chose to hold on. So rest while He works. Let your soul find peace in the knowledge that the clock is not in your hands but in His. The ticking of time is not a threat but a reminder that there is a plan unfolding. You may not have all the answers, but you know the one who does. You may not see the road ahead, but you know who guides your steps. You may feel weak, but His strength is made perfect in your weakness. Keep your heart open. Keep your hands lifted. Keep your eyes fixed on the one who is working behind the scenes. One day you will stand on the other side of the waiting, and you will see how every moment was necessary. You will see how the pieces fit together. You will see how the pain birthed purpose, and how the delays made room for destiny. And when that day comes, you will not boast in your own wisdom or timing, but you will lift your hands and say, "Look what the Lord has done." Trust the divine clock, my friend. Rest while He works behind the scenes. The miracle is already in motion. Watch it happen. There are moments in this life when the waiting feels heavier than the promise. You find yourself standing in the hallway of delay, knocking on doors that do not open, praying prayers that seem to rise no higher than the ceiling. You wonder if heaven has gone silent, if you have been overlooked, if perhaps you misheard what was whispered into your spirit in those sacred moments when hope felt so alive. Delay has a way of whispering lies that maybe you are unworthy, maybe you are forgotten, maybe the answer will never come, but delay is not denial. What feels like a closed door may simply be a divine pause, an interval where the hand of the Almighty is preparing you for what you cannot yet see. Think of the seed pressed deep into the soil. To the eye above ground it appears lifeless. Nothing seems to be happening. But beneath that dark earth, the shell is breaking, the roots are digging deep, and new life is forming. If you were to dig it up too soon, you would destroy what was being cultivated in secret. So it is with the promises spoken over your life. The silence does not mean absence. The waiting does not mean abandonment. It is in the delay that your faith grows roots strong enough to hold the weight of the blessing when it blooms. You see, our timing is so often shaped by our own understanding. We want things when they are convenient, when they fit into our plans, when we think we are ready. But the one who knows the end from the beginning sees what we do not see. He knows what waits down the road, what traps have been set by the enemy, what lessons we must learn to carry His goodness well. Sometimes He allows delay to build our character, to purify our motives, to strengthen our trust so that when the answer comes, it will not crush us but lift us higher. Consider the story of Abraham and Sarah. They were promised a child, but the years passed like a slow river of disappointment. Month after month, year after year, they watched the promise grow older with them until their bodies seemed too frail to bear the weight of hope any longer. Yet the promise did not die. When their strength was gone, when their understanding failed, when there was no room left for their own striving, then the miracle came, and through that child a nation was born. The delay was not a denial, it was a divine setup for a testimony that would echo through generations. How many times have you stood at the edge of giving up? How many times have you allowed the delay to convince you that your dream was foolish, your prayer unanswered, your future empty? My friend, do not let the enemy use time as a weapon against you. Time in the hands of the Almighty is not your enemy, it is your friend. It refines you, it shapes you, it makes you ready for what you have asked for. If you were to receive what you long for before you were ready, it might destroy you or slip through your fingers like water. In these seasons of delay, hold on to hope like a lamp in the darkness. Feed it with the promises written long before you ever took your first breath. Remind your soul that the one who spoke light into the void and set the stars in their places does not forget his word. He watches over it, tending it like a gardener until it blooms in its appointed time. You may not see it now, but one day you will look back and see how every delay held a blessing in disguise. When Joseph sat in a prison cell for a crime he did not commit, he could have believed that delay meant denial. He could have let bitterness take root. He could have abandoned his faith and cursed the very dreams that once made his heart sore, but Joseph held on. He served faithfully in the pit, in Potiphar's house, in prison until the day came when the doors swung open, and he was lifted from the darkness to the throne. What man meant for evil, the Almighty turned for good. And so it shall be for you. Perhaps you have been praying for a wayward child to come home, for a healing that has not yet manifested, for a breakthrough in your finances, for a relationship to be restored, for a vision to take flight. And every day the enemy whispers that the delay is proof you have been denied. Reject that lie. Stand on the truth that your hope is anchored in a timeline bigger than your own. Heaven is not bound by earthly clocks and calendars. What is impossible for man is possible for the one who parts seas and raises the dead. In the waiting, do not sit idle. Let your hope turn into action. Praise when you feel nothing. Pray when the words come out like a whisper. Serve others when you feel empty. Keep planting seeds of faith, kindness, generosity, and trust that the harvest is coming. The delay is not punishment, it is preparation. It is protection. It is the tender mercy of a father who knows how fragile your heart can be, and how easily a blessing given too soon can become a burden. Hold your head high, even when the world says you should bow it in despair. Lift your eyes above the shadows of delay and fix them on the promise that does not fade with time. You may not see it yet, but even now, behind the veil of your understanding, pieces are falling into place. Lives are being touched, doors are being fashioned, and a way is being made where there seems to be none. When the moment comes, and it will, you will stand in awe and say it could not have happened a day sooner or a moment later. You will see that the delay was the perfect timing in disguise, and the beauty of it all will not only be the blessing you hold in your hands, but the unshakable faith that was forged in the fire of waiting. So, my dear friend, take courage. Delay is not your defeat. Hope is not a foolish thing when placed in the hands of the one who holds time itself. Rest your anxious mind, steady your trembling heart, and keep your eyes on the one who has never failed you yet. In his timeline, in his way, in his perfect season, you will see the promise fulfilled, and it will be worth every moment you spent holding on to hope. There is a stirring in your heart that whispers you were made for more than what you see right now. Deep down, you sense there is a season waiting for you, a chapter of purpose, of growth, of break. Through yet the days you live through feel painfully ordinary, even barren at times. It is easy to look around and see others stepping into their harvest while you feel stuck tilling soil that refuses to yield. But hear me, your season will come. You were not born to stay buried in the waiting. You were created to flourish in the exact time appointed for you, Everything in creation testifies to this truth. Look at the mighty oak, once a tiny acorn hidden beneath the cold earth, waiting for its moment to break forth. Look at the fields that lie dormant in winter, yet burst with life when spring comes. So it is with your life. There is a pattern, a purpose, a perfect timing that cannot be hurried by your worry, nor delayed by your fear. You may feel behind, but heaven is never late. Patience is not a word many like to embrace. It stretches your faith and tests your endurance. It demands that you trust in what you cannot see, while the world screams for you to act, to fix, to force things to happen. But patience is not weakness. It is strength wrapped in surrender. It is faith that knows the seed will sprout when the soil is ready, the rains have fallen, and the sun is warm enough to call it forth. Impatience digs up the seed before it ever has a chance to root. Patience guards it, protects it, waters it with hope. Your season will not look like another's, and it was never meant to. That is the beauty of purpose. It is woven uniquely for your life. Some are called to blossom early, to run fast and hard right from the starting line. Others are called to wait, to grow in the hidden places, to be refined and strengthened where no one sees. Do not despise the hidden years. They are not wasted. They are the training ground for what is to come. They build your character, deepen your roots, and prepare you to stand firm when the winds of success or trial blow. Think of David, the shepherd boy anointed king, yet sent back to the fields to tend sheep. He was chosen, but not yet ready. His crown would come, but first he learned faithfulness in obscurity. He faced lions and bears alone long before he faced a giant before a watching army. The pasture seemed small, but it was shaping a king. You too may feel your life is stuck in the pasture while others parade through palaces, but the same hand that anointed David is shaping you in the unseen places. When your season comes, you will be ready to stand where he has called you to stand. There is purpose even in the delays, purpose in the detours, purpose in the doors that shut in your face. What you see as rejection, he sees as redirection. What you call wasted time, he calls preparation. You cannot skip the process and expect to hold the promise. A tree that grows too fast will snap under its own weight when storms come. But a tree that grows slow, deep, and steady will stand for generations. So hold your head high even in this waiting. Do not grow weary of doing good, for in due season you will reap if you do not give up. Keep showing up when it feels pointless. Keep praying when your prayers echo back in silence. Keep serving when no one claps for you. Keep believing when doubt hisses its lies. Faith is forged in the waiting room, not in the spotlight. And when your season comes, and it will, you will see how every tear watered the soil of your soul. How every sleepless night, every hidden act of obedience, every quiet moment of trust was not forgotten, but woven into the tapestry of your testimony. Your story will speak hope to those still waiting for their season. You will stand as living proof that patience and purpose always find their perfect timing. If you feel your hope slipping, look at the stars that burn bright because they hold their place in the darkness. Look at the sunrise that comes not a moment too early nor too late, but exactly when the night has run its course. Look at your own life and remember the times you thought you would not make it through, yet here you are. Stronger than you once were, wiser than you once were. If he carried you then, he will carry you now. Do not measure your life by someone else's timeline. Do not envy the harvest of another when you do not know the tears they have sown or the trials they have endured. Celebrate their season, but do not abandon your own. The same God who calls flowers to bloom in spring is calling you to trust that your moment is coming. Rest in the promise that you are not overlooked. Your prayers are not lost in the wind. Your dreams are not dead. They are seeds buried for a purpose, waiting for the warmth of the sun and the rain of his blessing. And when it is time, nothing and no one can stop what he has ordained for you. So stand firm in patience. Keep your eyes fixed on the author of your story. Surrender your timeline to his. Trade your striving for trust, your panic for peace, your doubt for hope. Your season will come, not by your might, nor by your power, but by his Spirit. And when it does, you will see that the waiting was worth it, the refining was necessary, and the timing was perfect. Let these words settle deep in your heart. Your season will come. Be patient, hold on to your purpose, and trust his perfect timing. The best is yet to be seen. There is a kind of weariness that settles deep in the bones of those who carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. Maybe you know that weight. It comes when you believe everything depends on you, every outcome, every breakthrough, every solution. You lie awake at night rehearsing what you could have done differently, what you must do tomorrow, how you can fix what is broken. But life was never meant to be carried in the clenched fists of human control. There is freedom waiting for the soul that dares to loosen its grip and place what it cannot manage into the hands of the one who can. Letting go of control is not easy for people like us. We crave certainty, predictability, and assurance that our plans will unfold just as we've imagined. We fear the unknown, so we build walls around our hearts, schedules for every hour, and backup plans for when the first ones fail. Yet the more we grasp, the more life seems to slip through our fingers like sand. And when we try to force our way, we often find ourselves frustrated, exhausted, and no closer to peace. Faith is the key that unlocks the prison of self-dependence. It does not blind you to reality. It opens your eyes to a greater reality that there is a sovereign hand guiding what you cannot see, working behind the scenes when you cannot act, and fighting battles you do not even know exist. When you loosen your grip, you are not giving up. You are giving it over. You are placing your life in the care of the one who formed it in the first place. Think of the farmer standing before his field. He tills the soil, sows the seed, and waters the ground. But once the seed is planted, he cannot force the sun to shine or the rain to fall. He must trust that nature will do what it was designed to do. So too must you do your part. Pray, plan, show up, work hard, but then release the outcome into hands far stronger than your own. When you let go, you begin to see how faith is not passive. It is a mighty force that moves mountains and parts seas. Faith does not sit idly by. It lifts your eyes from the problem to the provider. It shifts your heart from striving to surrender, from panic to peace. And in that surrender, you find the strength you could never muster in your own might. Consider the story of Moses, a man who once tried to take matters into his own hands. When he saw the suffering of his people, he struck down an Egyptian with his own strength, only to find himself a fugitive in the wilderness for 40 years. It was not until Moses learned to let go of his own plan, his own timing, his own methods, that he watched the Red Sea split in two by the breath of God. In his weakness, he witnessed power beyond anything he could have engineered. When he let go of control, he watched the impossible become possible. So many of us stand at the edge of our own Red Sea, the waters raging before us and Pharaoh's army closing in behind. We panic, we strive, we beg for a solution, and all the while heaven whispers, "Be still. Be still, and watch what I will do." The problem is not the sea, nor the army, nor the circumstances stacked against you. The real battle is whether you will open your hands and let God move where you cannot. There is a quiet strength in those who trust. It is not that they do not care. It is that they have learned where their limits end and where divine power begins. They pray, they wait, they act when they must, but they do not crumble when the door does not open, when the answer is delayed, or when the plan changes. They know that sometimes what looks like a setback is a setup for something better. Sometimes what feels like a closed door is protection from a path that would have destroyed them. When you live with open hands, you begin to see life differently. You stop seeing interruptions as obstacles and begin to see them as redirections. You stop fearing delays and start trusting that they are divine pauses filled with purpose. You stop measuring your worth by what you can accomplish and rest in the truth that you are loved, not for what you do, but for who you are. Letting go does not mean you abandon responsibility. It means you abandon the illusion that you are responsible for everything. You keep showing up, but you do not force your way. You keep dreaming, but you do not worship the dream. You keep planning, but you do not panic when the plan must change. You live free, knowing that what is meant for you will find you in its time. This kind of faith is not born overnight. It grows when you choose to trust one step at a time. It deepens when you remember the times you let go before and watch doors open you never could have opened yourself. It strengthens when you look back and see how the detours, the delays, the disappointments all worked together for good in ways you could not have imagined in the moment. Perhaps today you are carrying burdens that are not yours to bear. Maybe you have tried to fix what only God can heal. Maybe you have strained to push open a door that was never meant to open. Maybe you have exhausted yourself trying to hold your life together when your hands were made to worship, not to fight. Knuckle your way through the storm. What if today you simply opened your hands and whispered, "I trust you"? What if you chose to release your children, your career, your future, your fears into His care? What if you stopped wrestling with what you cannot change and rested in the one who never changes? You would not lose control. You would gain peace. When you let go of control, you make room for miracles. You step aside so the hand of heaven can do what you never could. You find that your weakness is not a curse, but an invitation to lean on a strength that never fails. And you discover the beautiful paradox that in surrender, you are not defeated, you are free. So, my friend, loosen your grip, unclench your fists, lay down your fears at the feet of the one who holds every star in place, yet knows every hair on your head. Release your need to know how every chapter ends and trust the author who writes every word with love. Faith will free you to watch him move, and when he does, you will stand in awe at what happens when you let go and let God. There is a place many of us know well, but few of us like to linger in the waiting room. We do not find it on any map, yet we have all sat there at one time or another. It is that quiet, restless season between the promise spoken and the promise fulfilled. It is the space where prayers seem to hang in the air unanswered, where you stand with hope in one hand and questions in the other. It is a place where faith is tested, where impatience tries to grow roots, and where the enemy whispers that maybe the promise was never really yours to begin with. Yet the waiting room is not a punishment, it is a sacred place of preparation. It is here that you learn to stop striving and start trusting. It is here that you find the kind of strength that does not come from your own willpower, but from resting in the one who made the promise in the first place. You see, what he speaks, he will accomplish not in your hurried time, but in his perfect time. And when you finally step out of that waiting room, you will see that every moment spent there was working for you, not against you. There are moments when you will want to push the door open yourself, to rush the process, to make something happen just so you can say you did not waste your waiting. But every time you try to force what only God can unfold, you trade His perfect plan for your anxious striving. The waiting room teaches you that the breakthrough you seek cannot be manufactured by your hands. It comes by resting in His. Think about the story of Hannah, a woman who longed for a child year after year, while the voices around her mocked her barren womb. She sat in her waiting room with tear-stained prayers and an ache that would not let her rest. But even in her waiting, she kept coming back to the one who could do what no one else could. She poured out her soul, not once but again and again, until the day came when her breakthrough arrived, and the child she held in her arms would grow to become one of the greatest prophets Israel would ever know. Her waiting was not wasted. It was woven into the very fabric of her miracle. When you find yourself in that waiting room, do not confuse stillness with stagnation. The walls may feel silent, but heaven is not quiet. Behind what you can see, pieces are shifting, doors are being built, people are being positioned, and your own heart is being prepared to hold what you have asked for. Sometimes the waiting room is the only place your soul becomes mature enough to handle the weight of the blessing when it comes. It is easy to look at others walking in their breakthroughs while you sit and wait your turn. Envy becomes a cruel companion in the waiting room if you let it, but comparison blinds you to the beauty of your own promise. Their story is not your story. Their timing is not your timing. The one who created you has not overlooked you. He is shaping a testimony unique to your life. You would not rush the blooming of a rose or dig up a seed before it sprouts. So do not rush your own becoming. The flower does not bloom because it is forced to. It blooms because the conditions are finally right. Some breakthroughs happen in an instant, a word, a touch, a single moment where everything changes. But many breakthroughs are born slowly, quietly, while you wait and trust. They are formed in the dark where no one applauds, where you learn to worship when you do not feel like singing, to pray when your words feel empty, to serve when you feel unseen. This is the waiting room's secret. It makes your roots go deep, so when the winds of blessing blow, you will stand strong and not be moved. If you could see what he sees, you would rest. You would unclench your fists and breathe a little deeper. You would know that no promise he has made will ever return void. It will come to pass, maybe not how you pictured it, maybe not when you expected it, but always better than what you could have orchestrated on your own. Your job is not to figure out how or when. Your job is to trust and obey, even when the road seems long and the doors stay shut. Remember Joseph, the dreamer who found himself in a prison cell, far from the visions of greatness that once filled his head. His waiting room was a pit, a palace, and a prison, but the breakthrough came at the appointed hour, a single day, when he went from prisoner to prime minister. Not by his own striving, not by forcing his way, but by resting in the faith that the dream giver was also the dream keeper. What looked like a detour was actually a direct path to destiny. So if you find yourself weary in the waiting, lift your eyes higher. See beyond the walls of your circumstance. Hold on to hope like a lamp in the night. Praise him for what you do not yet see, because praise in the waiting room is a declaration of faith that the promise is already on its way. Worship does not speed up time, but it strengthens you for the journey. The day will come when you step out of that waiting room and into your breakthrough, and when it happens, you will not boast in your own wisdom or your own effort. You will point to the one who was faithful to finish what he started. You will look back and see how every delay was a divine setup, every disappointment a stepping stone, every tear a seed watered in trust. So relax, not because you are careless, but because you are confident in his care. Let go of the urge to make it happen on your timeline and watch him do what only he can do. You are not stuck. You are being positioned. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. You are not waiting in vain. You are waiting on purpose. From the waiting room to the breakthrough, he is the same yesterday, today, and forever. The promise is not fading, it is unfolding, and when it does, you will stand as living proof that those who wait on him will never be put to shame. So rest in the waiting. Trust in the process and get ready because your breakthrough is already on the way. So hold your head high while you wait. Keep your heart anchored in hope, for what He has spoken will surely come to pass. When you step out of that waiting room into your breakthrough, you will see that every tear, every prayer, every moment of trust was not wasted. You will stand as a testament that faith does not fail and promises do not die in the dark. Rest now, watch His hand move, and rejoice knowing that what He begins, He finishes. Your breakthrough is on the horizon. Wait well, trust deeply, and see His promises beautifully unfold.